freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Everybody, welcome to Gun Freedom Radio. We are coming to you from the floor of the Gun Owners of America Goals Event 2025. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. Welcome.
I am so excited to reintroduce you to our amazing friend, Micheal Sodini of Walk the Talk America. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We always enjoy connecting with Micheal because we love him, A, but B, the work that Walk the Talk America is doing is absolutely saving lives, period, hard stop. And I'm going to throw it over to you to explain why I said that.
And I appreciate everything you do for me. I love you guys. You're one of my favorite people in the industry. You've always been supportive, and I feel like you were there from the beginning, pretty much. You know what I mean? I think the first time we talked was in like 2018. So it's pretty wild when you think about like where Walk the Talk America started and where it is now. You know what I mean?
It's so true, but we believe in your mission. It's so needed. It's so important. And not only are you saving lives, but you are spreading the message into areas that they're either resistant to the truth or they've just never even been exposed to the truth. And these are the things I want to talk about with you today. So for people that have been living under a rock and haven't heard of Walk the Talk America, tell them what is the work that you're doing?
Well, a lot of people would consider us a suicide prevention organization, but I like to think we're way more than that, right? Like, to me, we're not even trying to catch gun owners when they're suicidal. We want gun owners to be mentally healthy. So there's an element to it where it's getting gun owners help when they want it, if they're in crisis without fear of consequence. But then there's also that educational component to keep people, you know, mentally healthy. Then there's an advocacy side of it, right? Like, this is what I mean. Like, every negative outcome of a firearm, we have an answer for, a solution for, and that, I mean, it comes from us, and that's the most important thing, right? Like, most of the solutions have always been from the outside world that didn't understand us. This is the first, you know, we're at GOA, right? No compromise to a mental health organization. Yes. We're the only one, you know. So you look at the website, and if you are pro-gun, which I'm assuming everybody watching this is, I think it's something that as gun owners we can be proud of, right? Like, we say, okay, they're one of ours, right? They represent us. Everything we do in the public, whether it's inside the 2A community or outside, it's all pro-gun. It's all about explaining and making people understand the fears that we have, because there are a lot of anti-gun people out there, especially when it comes to behavioral health and healthcare in general, right? But there's a lot of just gun ignorant people. So it's not so much that they're anti-gun, it's just they've never heard any other option or any other solution. So what they believe is common sense, right, is not necessarily common sense, you know? And we have to be able to go to those spaces and, you know, not be afraid to almost put yourself out there to get hammered, you know what I mean, like, by the public, and you know, make an argument and a case and explain to them why there's blind spots that they have, right? Absolutely. So you think about like red flag laws. I do a lot of speaking events at mental health conferences, behavioral health conferences, you know, healthcare in general, research conferences. And it's like everyone thinks like red flag laws save lives, and all you see is data that, you know, they put forward to say it saves lives, but they don't think about the unintentional consequences of something like a red flag law. And when I say unintentional consequences, I'm not even talking about like a police officer showing up and then the situation blows up, right? Like, hey, give me your guns. I'm talking about how many people avoid care because of the fear of losing their gun rights. And then, they're maybe at stage 2, and then they eventually hit stage 4, and then they take their life with a firearm, right? And that's what I want. These are the things that we need to go out there and educate. I don't want to say the other side because I hate kind of doing that. Like, we're all humans, but there's a lot of times when people come up to me and they're like, I never even thought about that. When it came to red flag laws, I didn't think about the unintentional consequences of people being afraid, and it's a light bulb.
So, Michael, people have that mentality that if you take a gun away from somebody who's suicidal, that everything's okay. They're not going to do anything. And it's not just the gun, it's the mind. And they need to work on the mind. And if you take their guns away, then there's knives, there's cars, there's chainsaws, there's everything, right? So it's good to go through this to learn, because it's not just the gun.
Well, and that's one of the things I love to say when I'm speaking to crowds that maybe, pro red flag law. I'm like, it is kind of a slap in the face if you think about it, right? Like, if I'm really concerned about you as a person, and I come over to your house and I remove your gun, you still have plenty of other ways. If I don't help you get help,
right?
And that's what a red flag, like a cop comes and says, okay, we don't think you're well, give me that. If you're not well enough to have your gun, you're probably not well enough to drive. I don't want you driving.
And you take away somebody that collects guns that's having a mental problem, you take their guns away, you're going to put them in deeper depression.
Yeah.
100%. Because they just got robbed, basically. Right? Yeah. At the point of the gun of a police officer, an authority figure. How does that improve their mental health in any way, where the mission of Walk the Talk America is truly, connecting people who are in need of help with the people that have been highly trained to supply that help, but removing the stigma, because it kind of is on both sides. So there's the gun owner that maybe feels stigmatized because, well, I'm supposed to be strong, I'm supposed to be John Wayne, right? And here I am, I need this other person's help. That's already hard. And then the clinician, if they've been indoctrinated in some way or just ignorant in the truest sense of the form, that they just don't know what they don't know, then they might feel like just the fact that this person owns a gun, I should report that. I should do something, right? Walk the Talk America is bridging that gap. That's one of your taglines, is it not?
Yep, that's exactly what we do. Like, for example, after this show, I'm going down to Louisiana. Jake Wiskerson, who's, I think he's been on the
Love
show.
Jake.
Yeah. We're going down to train over 100 mental health clinicians in the state of Louisiana through LSU about gun culture, right? We're doing two different range days, getting them out there, having them shoot, talking about all the fears that, we as gun owners face when it comes to actually getting help. And, they don't have a red flag law in Louisiana, but maybe one day they will, right? But it doesn't matter. Most gun owners don't want to chance it. You know what I mean? They don't want to chance it. People don't realize like how important the Second Amendment is to certain people. Like, people have hills that they die on. They literally will vote a certain way, and just because of that one thing. And the Second Amendment is a big one. I think people need to understand. And that's this course. I love our cultural competence course, and a lot of it, you could take it online for free at our website, right? But when we do the in-person one, it is amazing because we get these clinicians to come through. Some of them have never handled a gun. Now, geographically, it's going to be different for wherever we do this, right? Louisiana, you might have a lot of people that grew up with guns. I mean, guns is more common down there, but there's still a lot that haven't, and they look forward to this experience. And I have seen literally like a clinician come through, and one of the people that's holding the event for us say, that was the most anti-gun person, and now they're holding an AR and learning, you know what I mean? And
it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's really cool when you give someone the opportunity. Like, this is what I always tell people. I throw these educational courses and these talks, and I always say this. I say, I'm not here to make you pro-gun. I'm certainly here not to make you anti-gun. If I've done that, I've really failed. I just need you to be pro-understanding, right? And like, to me, that's a starter. And I always give people the opportunity to say, it's okay if you hate guns. I kind of get that, right? It's not that you hate guns. You just don't want to see people die or hurt. But your focus is wrong. You're focusing on the tool, right? You're not. And once you do that and you give people an out, you tell them, hey, like after this class, even if you completely disagree with me, you want to come up to me and tell me you still hate guns, I just want you to take something away from it. You know what I mean? I want you to understand a culture. You don't have to be part of it.
Yeah.
But that rarely ever happens. Most of the time people get more curious. And then it's like, okay, I got somebody that I can call and talk to about this, right? Like that's the other thing we do is bridge the gap between the media, right? Like I like to be that resource for people to contact and say, okay, well, like I don't understand, why are you guys fighting this, or why is this problematic, right? And then to be able to explain to them, well, this is what you got to think about, you know?
It's so brilliant. And, you know, just because you're at a college in Louisiana, people fly in from all over the country, like to go to different schools. And once they've gotten their education, they're going to go. So you are truly planting seeds to send people out on a new mission, or at least have the opportunity to have a new thought process and be able to serve truly the heart of a mental health clinician. That's what my degrees are in. It's the heart of a servant. We want to serve and help people. And if we have any of our own roadblocks in our own mind, you are giving the opportunity for us to broaden our scope and help more people effectively. It's such a beautiful thing, and the fact that you are doing the work and that people see the value to show up, even if somewhere in their mind or their gut they're like, this is going to be ridiculous, you know, like guns just are bad and that's the end of it. But they've shown up. That's amazing.
I'm a little stressed.
You're right.
ZEKE Stout has entered. I did. You threw me so off.
And I know why.
Did you know?
It's the S in MGS.
That was the S in MGS. I'm telling you, the gunsmithing school. It did throw me off.
And massage.
ZEKE Stout has entered the chat, and apparently, what's the phrase? He knows the assignment, which is to, de-stress
I'm super
our poor
nervous.
friend.
Thank you, sir.
He doesn't do interviews very well.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'd just help him out a little bit. Relax him, so he's not going, what do I do with my hands?
Yeah, like I usually get, it frees up, and it was about to go that route. And
I was worried he was about to punch Danny because I saw his nervous fist start to do this, and I'm like, no, I can't let that happen.
This is community happening right here. This is our organization, our community. We help each other out. We dive into, we photobomb each other's interviews, do on-camera massages. I mean, it's not weird. It's not weird.
That's the beauty of the Second Amendment community. We're welcoming.
But I won't hijack it too much because she's going to interview me later. That might be better.
Well, I'm going to tackle you. So,
Yeah. Be on the lookout for ZEKE Smith /Stout's interview, because I think there's going to be some payback on its way. So
Micheal, are you funded by the government, or how do you get the funds to make this happen?
Only funded by the firearms industry. 100% of our money comes from the firearms industry and individual donors, right, that are fans of what we do. So, yeah, we don't have any grants. We don't get any government money. When LSU does like an event like this, obviously they're paying for it, right? Because they're bringing us out there and we have lodging and all that stuff. But it's 100% firearms. That's the other thing I'm super proud of is when you start something like this. When it was a crazy idea, right? And you literally I self-funded, right, the first 2 years. I mean, we've had these conversations before about it, but just to be able to say enough companies believed in it because it was such a foreign concept. You talk about 2018. I mean, we've always kind of talked about suicide prevention, but we never really had something that we can kind of attach to. And we don't really have a lot in this industry when it comes to that. I mean, there's a handful. There's Hold My Guns, NSSF's programs, right? But we don't have a lot. But just to watch companies like Ruger and Arms Corps really embrace it and say like, what do you need? Like, here, we support this, we love it. And I'm almost like a puppy sometimes, where I'm like, I want to please them, and they're like, no, we love what you're doing, like, and I'm like, no, I really want you to, I really want you to be into what I'm doing, you know what I mean? Whether it's the Kids to Kings program, or, like I said, every negative outcome of firearm, we have something. And I think that's what the world or the country was looking for. When we talk about the people that are not on our side, like, I think that's the difference maker, right? Is to be able to go, okay, if you don't like red flag laws, what's your idea? And then having an answer for that. And not just, well, we need to do better with mental health. You know what I mean? Like, saying like, we have some really grassroots like work that we're doing that I think in the long run, it doesn't change overnight, right? Like, everybody wants this quick fix, but in the long run, you're going to see some amazing stuff come from what we started, right?
Absolutely. And every clinician that you instruct, right, done 1,000 easily, right, over the years, they then not only interact with their clients, they interact with each other, right? And so all of these seeds that you're planting are having growth potential in exponential ways. And then you have companies in this industry that really get it, like Ruger. Who else did you mention?
Arms Corps, Bursa, High Point. There's plenty. We just brought on North American Arms. They're going to start putting the free and anonymous mental health screening flyer in the boxes of the guns.
That's amazing. And so those of us that are thinking about buying our next gun, we might want to then therefore go, well, maybe we want to support the people who are supporting what we support, right? And so let's really throw some extra love and thanks out to those organizations, those companies, those manufacturers that really are putting their money where their mouth is and helping us with the future of gun ownership. Because as you were saying, every negative outcome with a firearm is something that gives the side that doesn't like guns or understand guns so much more fuel for their fire. And so, plus, we care about human beings, and we want to head off those negative outcomes in every way possible. So then, let's talk about Ruger, right? They've been huge supporters. So how do they support you? Like, what actual way are they supporting you?
Every way. I'm about to get a Ruger tattoo on my neck. Like, it's no, they not only financially, so this exists, right? Because when you have a nonprofit, you have to put the money to the work, but you also have to keep the lights on, and you got to take care of people. So they do the financial donation. They always donate guns. Like, we have an auction coming up together September 30th.
Yeah,
Prodigal
auction September 30th.
Yeah.
And that's another way that you can contribute to the company by either purchasing a firearm from that auction or donating a firearm to the auction. And we'll gladly accept donations. If you're from out of state, you can ship the gun directly to us, and you can call and we can give you information on that. But that's when I first met you, I saw it in your heart. There was just something there that I knew that this is somebody we need to listen to, and you are doing great things for us. For the community.
I really appreciate that, and like I said, I can't thank you enough, Ruger enough. Ruger, I mean, at NRA show, right? We have a Kids to Kings program. It's our inner city youth program, right, where we introduce firearms to these kids in a healthy manner. Most of these kids, they all have access to firearms, or they're around firearms, but none of them ever really get introduced in a good way, right? So we have that program, and it was great because the NRA show was in Atlanta, where that's our pilot program, and Ruger and the NRA rolled out the red carpet for these kids, right? So we had them. I had these kids come to the show. I was taking them to all the different gun companies. They were talking to executives. They were talking to competition shooters. They were talking, to gunsmiths. And when you have the president of, say, like an Arms Corps saying, "Hey, you could work here one day, like if you want to make this a career," or, one of the kids is got an engineer brain, right? So he was talking to the engineer over at Ruger, right? Like that. This is the stuff that's inspiring. It's welcoming. We're bringing, like I said, these young kids in. And it's not going to make a change in gun violence in those areas overnight, but you know what? those kids, I guarantee you, will never have an issue with the gun, and they'll be able to educate their friends. They'll be able to come up in the community. They'll be able to open their own gun shops. They'll be able to, be a firearms instructor for their community. They'll be able to train.
Not only that, they put the seed in them. It puts the seed in their friends because their friends are influenced by it too, and it helps all the way around.
If you go on our Instagram page and you can see some of the videos from the NRA show, and Ruger had them at the show. They were all decked out in the Ruger gear, and they were going up to booths, just like the booths here, right, where you can demo the guns and you can trade. And watching people watch them when they take the gun, and people were telling me, they're like, some of these kids have better trigger discipline and all these things than most of the people that work in this industry. Yes. The way that they knew not to point it at their feet, and they were correcting each other, like with the younger kids. And to me, like, that's the most important thing right now. Is to save the shooting sports is the youth in the different markets and where we've never gone. And it's like, let's introduce guns in a healthy manner. Let's get back to that and put it in the forefront.
And we've been hearing these statistics about the youth that, sorry, I keep forgetting to move the microphone. We keep hearing statistics about the youth that their suicide rates are going up. And so to be able to, have these experiences with these young adults this early on, these young kids this early on, you're going to stem the tide of that right there.
Yep. You empower them. You know what I mean? Like, let's face it, like, anytime you know how to handle a firearm, the responsibility jumps in you. You know what I mean? Like when you learn and you can teach other people, and then also bringing that mental health element to these kids at the early age, especially in cultures where there's a huge stigma around mental health, and keep your mind right. Understand that the gun could either be a tool of oppression or empowerment, right? Like, depending on how you use it. That's the beautiful thing about it. Like, it really is making a connection, and I feel, there's a lot of good companies out there like Kids Safe, right? They're doing a lot of work with the youth, but we gotta really push it with the youth. The best way to prevent any of these, unfortunate situations is to educate. I want my kids to know, when they see a firearm, hey, like, one in the chamber. I want them to understand all that stuff. You know what I mean? And I think every kid needs to be able to.
So when I was a kid, my dad, if he told me if I saw a gun, take it apart and clean it. Okay? If I find a gun, they taught me
Every gun's
early.
always loaded, but still.
Taught me how to handle the gun, and the opposite now is happening. Oh, my kids will never see a gun, right? So they don't need training. My kid doesn't. We don't have a swimming pool. I don't need teach my kid how to swim, right?
Right.
But their next door neighbor has a pool.
Exactly.
And these gangs are these people that are kind of in between. Would we rather teach them how to handle a gun, or one of their friends teach them how to handle a gun?
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's very important.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we do need to start wrapping up, but something that you touched on in our interview and said off air to me about how you are impacting communities beyond our own little echo chamber, right? The gun owning echo chamber. There's an event that you have spoken at before. You're going to speak at again this year. Since you spoke at it before and this year, they've actually changed the name of it because of your impact on the event. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so it's the Firearms Harm Reduction Conference, right? And it's a bunch of researchers, and I was invited to speak last year, and it was an exciting. Anytime you're the first, right? Anytime I hear like you're the first gun person that we're asked to speak, you always look at like what's the turnout going to be for my section of it, and it was packed. Awesome. And it was the first time they actually had gun people there. Rob Pincus was there, NSSF was in attendance, Chris Chang was there, Kenny Barlow from Regal was there. So we did have some people there, but it was really interesting because they don't know what they don't know, and to be able to go there and give them a different perspective, it's super important. Right, so like even they used to call the thing gun violence prevention, right? And just to be able to say like, hey, that's kind of a silly term and it could be off-putting to gun people. And if you want to, like they say they do, we want to bridge the gap. We want you here. And they have been very welcoming, right? But that's the type of stuff that we can help them with, educate them and make them think about different things. Like, going back to the red flag law thing, like the unintentional consequences of a red flag law. They have a lot of research that proves why their red flag law works, but there's glaring holes there and blind spots that we have to make them aware of. And then it's like, encourage them to do research. One thing I want to touch on real quick is the very first year, I do a survey every year. I think you guys have seen it. It's a firearm survey. We send it out. We didn't know if anyone would even give us that information. And the first year we did it, we got like 250 people to fill it out. And I was celebrating, right? But all the research people, they kind of crapped on it, because they're like, it's not done through a university, there's no peer review, all this stuff. Well, the second year we did it, we got 2,500 people to take it. And now the research people are like, wait a minute, like, how many people did you get to do that? Because like in research, they say the hardest thing about like, collecting research is getting gun owners to be honest, or getting gun owners to actually do it. Most gun owners are like, I'm not gonna, why are you asking this?
We're very private people.
Yeah, so like just to be there and show them that, gun owners, with a trusted messenger will give you information, that we just don't want to give you information that you're gonna use against us, right? Like we want real data. We want real research that looks at every angle, not just confirmation bias or what you're trying to prove, and we have to change that. I mean, because if you don't show up and you don't, question or challenge or even pose an idea, like then they're going to run with their own narrative, whatever narrative that might be.
As they have been for many years. So I love that they were calling it the gun violence convention or whatnot, research convention. And after speaking with you, they call it the Firearms Harm Reduction Conference.
Speaking with a bunch of us, I don't want to take like sole credit, right? But like that's why we got to show up to these things. There's a lot of things that people say, why would you go to that? And it's like, you have to go to that. Like, you have to be there,
So I get hung up on words like assault weapon.
Yeah.
I don't own a weapon in my house. And I know some people use it in normal terms, but I have a firearm. A weapon to me is something you would use against somebody.
Right.
Well, assault implies exactly that, right?
And
Instead of a tool of self-defense.
So I understand these terms need to be worked on, because if you say assault weapon, say firearm, it's a different.
So true. All right. Well, we've got to wrap up.
I want to keep going.
I know.
For hours.
We could talk to you all day, every day. But I want you to remind folks how they can reach out, in what ways they can help themselves with the work you do, and what ways they can help the organization to continue doing great work.
So you go to WTTA.org, walktalkamerica.org. Our social media channels are all at Walk the Talk US. You can go on there. There's all kinds of free resources. Everything we do is free, right? There's nothing that, we don't charge anybody anything for. There's mental health plans you can download that have questions that make you think about the future when you own firearms, right? In these situations.
And it's anonymous.
It's anonymous. There's free and anonymous mental screens.
Anywhere.
Yep. And everybody thinks like, okay, you have to be in crisis for take a screening. No, sometimes you take a screening just to see where you're at. You can be totally healthy and take a screening, but none of that information is used. I always say this: we've been around 6 years. We can't screw up once. If something negative came out of Walk Talk America, it would be a wrap. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, it's a place where you can feel 100% safe as a gun owner to go and explore. And if you have any questions, contact us. We have email forms. We're very responsive. We have a podcast, the Guns and Mental Health podcast, where we tackle subjects, all kinds of subjects that involve firearms and mental health. So go there. There's plenty of stuff for every gun owner. And like I said, if you're part of the 2A community and you're hearing about us for the very first time, I think you'll be very proud of this.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I agree, 100%. And if you're sitting out there and you're like, I really want to help financially, the way to do that, besides the auction that I'm going to throw at Dan to finalize, but is there a donate tab on your website?
There's a donation tab. We also have a tab where, let's say money's tight, right? There's a tab on there that says other ways you can help, right? Like to us, even if you're sharing one of our posts, right? That's like a tiny donation, you know what I mean? Like spread the word. we've been around 6 years, but there's still a lot of people that don't know we exist, right? So we just got to keep getting it out there. So there's all kinds of different ways that you can contribute. And even if you think of something, right? Like think of something that you can do and offer it, we'd be more than willing to listen, you know?
I love that. That's amazing. And so with the auction, you know, there could be people out there that said, well, I don't have like a new gun to donate, but maybe I have a couple of pre-owned guns, and you know, my dad left me a couple that don't fit my hand. I don't particularly care for them. I'd like to do something good with them. What is there a way for them to help Walk the Talk America with those things?
Sure. You might have somebody that has 100 guns that says I only need 20, or you know, whatever. So yes,
happens.
you can. You can either contact Mike, or you can come through Pot of Gold Auctions and say that you want to donate those guns, and all the money. So if we sell a gun for $500, then Walk the Talk America gets $500.
Absolutely.
So,
and how do they do that process?
potofgoldauctions.com. Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. Micheal Sodini, thank you so much for all you do. Thank you for taking this time to talk with us today. I appreciate you so much.
Likewise, thank you for helping me out. I love you guys. I said you're my favorite, so.
We love you right back, and we love the work you're doing, and we want to do everything we can to continue supporting it. And you all out there, thank you for tuning in. Please check out this great organization, Walk the Talk America, and stick around because we got a lot more coming up from the Goals event in Knoxville, Tennessee, 2025.